All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're talking about the Buffalo Bills and their offseason in today's video. So as we know, they're coming off a really good regular season, once again going 13-4, winning the AFC East. But unfortunately, a 3-point loss on the road to the Kansas City Chiefs in the conference championship ended their season. And to make matters worse, I don't even need to tell Bills fans this, and I'm sorry if this is rubbing salt in your wound. 4 of the Buffalo Bills' past 5 seasons ended with playoff defeats to the Kansas City Chiefs, including twice in the championship round. And it really sucks because if you're a Buffalo fan, or if they had over 3.5 minutes left, down 3 on the road to put points on the board, and they just couldn't get it done. And that's what hurts, is it was so well within grasp. But I do not think it is over. I don't think we're even close to over with the Buffalo Bills. They've kind of been retweaking, revamping this roster, getting a lot younger in different aspects of the team in the last 1 or 2 seasons. And I think long term, it gives them a lot more stability. But there are some holes. There's holes on every National Football team. But it just sucks because if Kansas City didn't exist in a world of hypotheticals, Buffalo, it's just a completely different video we'd be talking about right now. When you take on Kansas City in the playoffs on the road, you have to be perfect. You have to be perfect. And fortunately, Buffalo was just short. Now, even without a clear-cut number 1 wide receiver, Josh Allen still had an MVP type of year. He tied Lamar Jackson for a league-leading 77.3 QBR. James Cook tied Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry for the most rushing touchdowns in the league at 16. Buffalo also extended its AFC East title streak to now 5 consecutive seasons, 5 wins ahead, the second place team in the division. But one flaw, or I should say one hole that I think every Bills fan would agree with, are defensively, specifically the secondary. And they, like a lot of other teams, got really screwed over by injuries to their secondary in the final stretch of the season, specifically against Kansas City. But folks, for the first time since 2020, the Buffalo Bills finished outside of the top 10 in scoring, defense, and total yards allowed. But even worse, and here was the big issue, they were 24th in the league in passing yards allowed. So folks, welcome back to the channel. We're talking clearly about the Buffalo Bills offseason. Hit that like button, hit that sub button if you haven't already. We cover the entire NFL. It's only like my 5th or 6th ever Buffalo Bills video. So if you could try and get this video to 25 likes, folks, that would mean the absolute world to me. Now, as far as cap space goes, Spotrac has them at negative $2.5 million, but then like over the cap has them at $7 million. So somewhere around those lines. But the point is, Buffalo doesn't have too much cap space to work with. We also heard your GM come out outright in the postseason presser and the end of the season presser and say we're probably not going to be big spenders in free agency. Buffalo, the good news is they have 10 total draft picks. All right, they've got multiple picks in the 2nd round, the 4th round, the 5th round, and the 6th round. And when we look at some of their biggest positional needs, it's cornerback. Could probably use another edge rusher, could probably use another linebacker, because some of these guys like Matt Milano, Von Miller could either be cut candidates or trade candidates, and we'll talk about that in just 1 second. But the headline I've been seeing in the last week or so of Buffalo being in its official offseason is a bunch of all right, guys, before we get back into this video here, shout out to our sponsors, BetUS. We're over here on their website. I'm getting ahead of myself. We're looking at the 2026 NFL Super Bowl winner. Buffalo's here to stay. Josh Allen's only 28 years old. This Buffalo Bills team will get their redemption. And if you want to put money where your mouth is, we got the Buffalo Bills sitting here at plus 750 to win the 2026 NFL Super Bowl. Just wanted to throw that out there. But guys, keep in mind, they're offering 150% bonus on your first deposit and 125% bonus on your next 2, all with the code YouTube150. Let's get back to the video. NFL executives, whether it's GMs, coaches, whatever it is, or insiders, sports journalists, beat writers, that kind of thing, a lot of people want Buffalo to make a splash. And I found this quote really interesting. And this was from an NFL executive and a unanimous GM across the league. Buffalo needs somebody who is just going to freaking floor it and get there. An exec from another team said, instead of, hey, let's keep ourselves in it and things will break our way eventually. That is all fine and good. And maybe eventually you do break through. But the reality is, if you go make a go for it move, whatever that may be, the whole building feels that and it takes everyone's game up a level. So, the Bills made a move for Amari Cooper in the trade deadline, right? And it just unfortunately didn't really work out in the degree we all kind of thought it was. He finished in his Buffalo Bill tenure in the regular season, 20 catches for 297 yards and 2 touchdowns. He still averaged a phenomenal 15 yards per catch, but there was just no clear-cut wide receiver number one. And the issue is he's a free agent, and so is Matt Collins, who was number 4 in receiving for the Buffalo Bills this past season. The good news is, even though there was no quote-unquote clear-cut wide receiver one, Khalil Shakir is an absolute gem. I mean, this guy can do everything. He just literally can do everything. He is so unbelievably versatile. He appears to be a game changer. He just seems like one of those special pieces. And he just had a really good campaign, 76 catches for 821 yards and 4 touchdowns. Keon Coleman, the rookie, 29 catches. He did have 57 targets, so that's got to get cleaned up. But he had 556 yards on 29 catches. That's like a Madden statistic. That is a 19.2 yard per catch average. We'll talk about Matt Collins in just one second, but some trade assets Buffalo could look into is, first off, 10 of their draft picks, all right? More specifically, they've got a 2025 second-round pick that might make sense to make a move, obviously, because of how deep they went in the playoffs. They've got a very late first-round draft pick, and we'll kind of see what they decide to do with Amari Cooper / Matt Collins on if that pick number 1, their round 1 pick, is going to be a wide receiver. We'll kind of get a better gauge of what they're going to do in the draft once free agency officially begins, a little less than 6 weeks from the time of this recording. But here's the thing. You've got 2 second-round picks. And so if you want to, kind of figure out that move we just talked about, where you go out and get a guy, as that GM said, frickin' floor it and get there. Get somebody who's going to frickin' floor it and get there. Well, they've got Minnesota's second rounder, 56th overall, and that could be a key piece in a trade around draft time to just go out there and get not an older guy, but just, more experienced, I'm using air quotes here, but pricier, expensive, name brand type of guy. All right, so I'm just floating that out there. Also, Von Miller just had a really bad season. I don't think he had a good season 2 years ago either. He's 35 years old. His cap hits like $20 million. I fully anticipate the Buffalo Bills to move on from Von Miller, and I also think they should. But one thing remains obvious. They need to improve the secondary here. They tried to overhaul the secondary this past season. Didn't really work out how they wanted it to. Johnson and Benford are really, really solid. You got guys like Damar Hamlin entering free agency, and he means so much to this Buffalo Bills organization. Josh Allen had a big thing postseason talking about Damar Hamlin and just what he means to the city of Buffalo and what he means to this Buffalo Bills team. It was a career year for a guy like Damar Hamlin, but he also was ranked 107th out of 170 eligible safeties. According to PFF's overall grade, his coverage grade was even worse, clocking in at 125th out of 170. So Damar Hamlin, Von Miller, these are 2 kind of veteran Bills that I do think Buffalo could look and move past. Finally, one thing that was really missing from this team was a reliable tight end. And I hate saying this because Dalton Kincaid just had a sophomore slump. It's just to put it point blank, his future is so unbelievably bright. And also, by the way, Josh Allen's only 28. I really think this will be one of the better quarterback tight end duos in the NFL for the next 5 or so years. BetOnline's prop options 3 days before the NFL season began had Kincaid's 77.5 catches, 800.5 receiving yards, and 5.5 receiving touchdowns. He didn't come close in any of those 3 categories. Now, keep in mind, he did miss 3 total games this season. Knee injury. He also had a collarbone injury. He didn't play in the regular season finale. He was also second on the team with 75 targets, but he only caught 44 of them for only 448 yards, only 2 touchdowns, 23 first downs. And that was just a huge drop from his rookie season where he had 73 catches for 673 yards. League-wide, Kincaid ranked 9th in targets amongst tight ends, 14th in receptions, 17th in yards, 23rd in touchdowns, and 14th in first downs. He also unfortunately led the Bills and was second amongst all tight ends with 6 drops in the regular season, and his 8.0 drop percentage was second worst for those with at least 50 targets, and he also dropped 2 of his 9 targets in the postseason. So I look at, yeah, maybe they need a wide receiver number 1. Maybe they're going to re-sign Amari Cooper. Maybe they're going to go out there and make a bigger time move. But Kincaid should and will, in my opinion, bounce back in a big way this upcoming season. I think that's, a big component of this Buffalo Bills team getting to that next level, aka taking down the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs. So that's it for today. There's not much to fix. It's still a really good, pretty young team, actually, in a lot of different areas. So just a couple of tweaks, and we'll see what happens, man. That's it for me. Hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. But guys, give me your thoughts on the overall state of the Buffalo Bills, and let me know any free agents, draft picks, players out there that you want Buffalo to go after. That's it from me. Peace.